Your comfort zone. It feels safe, doesn't it? It's predictable. It's familiar, and there's no risk of failure or rejection there. But let me ask you something. Is it enough for you? Are you truly satisfied with staying in the same place, living the same routines, and avoiding challenges because it's easier? Deep down, you know there's more for you. There's a life out there waiting, one that's bigger, bolder, and full of the kind of opportunities you've been dreaming about. Here's the thing. Nothing extraordinary happens inside the boundaries of comfort. Growth happens when you dare to step outside, when you push past the fear, and when you give yourself permission to dream bigger than you ever thought possible. But let me warn you, it won't always feel easy. Growth can feel uncomfortable, even scary at times. And that's exactly how you know you're on the right path. Today, I want to challenge you to do something that most people are too afraid to even consider. I want you to look beyond what's comfortable and start imagining what's possible. What would your life look like if you stopped holding yourself back? What could you achieve if you decided right now to live fearlessly? This is your moment to decide. Will you stay where you are, or will you take that first bold step toward the life you deserve? It's time to get clear, get motivated, and get moving. This isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about making the moment right now. Let's talk about how to step out of that comfort zone. Dream bigger than you ever have before, and face your fears with confidence. Because when you do, you'll unlock a version of yourself you never knew existed. And that's where the magic begins. Recognize that comfort holds you back. Comfort, it's easy. It feels good. It's the place where we all go when we want to break from the world, from challenges, from the demands of life. But here's the thing about comfort. It keeps you stuck. It holds you in a place where nothing grows, nothing changes, and nothing improves. You see, comfort is a trap. It's that cushion that feels nice for a while, but keeps you from achieving everything you're capable of. Think about it for a moment. Every time you find yourself saying, "I'm fine where I am," or "I don't need more," that's the comfort zone speaking. It's the voice telling you to settle, to stop pushing, to stop reaching for something bigger. And you know what? Every time you listen to that voice, you miss an opportunity to grow. We've all been there. You wake up in the morning and it feels easier to go through the motions. It's easier to stay in the same job, the same routine, with the same habits. But here's the brutal truth. Comfort doesn't lead to greatness. Comfort doesn't lead to achievement. Comfort doesn't lead to the life you dream of. Comfort keeps you small. And if you keep living in it, you'll look back and wonder where all the time went. Let me tell you this. Comfort is dangerous. The more comfortable you get, the less you challenge yourself. And the less you challenge yourself, the less you grow. Think about the times in your life when you were uncomfortable. Maybe you had to speak in front of a crowd. Maybe you had to make a tough decision. Maybe you had to take a risk that scared you to death. Those are the times when you grew. Those are the moments that shaped you into the person you are today. The thing is, if you stay in your comfort zone, you'll stop growing. The comfort zone feels safe, but safety isn't where success lives. Success requires action. Success requires stepping into the unknown. Success requires a willingness to be uncomfortable. So how do you break free from comfort? First, you need to recognize it for what it is. Comfort isn't a reward. It's a barrier. It's the place where your dreams go to die. The first step to breaking free is understanding that you're in it. Are you living in a way that challenges you? Are you pushing yourself to be better, to learn more, to do more? If not, it's time to take a hard look at your life and ask yourself why. Here's the truth. When you're comfortable, you're not growing. Growth happens when you push yourself beyond your limits. Growth happens when you do things that make you nervous, things that you're not sure you can do. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but it won't take you where you want to go. It will keep you where you are, exactly where you are, and that's not where greatness lives. It's time to take an honest look at your life. Are you in a comfort zone? Are you avoiding the tough stuff, The stuff that challenges you. If so, it's time to get out. And I'm not saying this to be harsh. I'm saying it because I want you to live your best life. I want you to be everything you're capable of being. But you can't do that if you stay stuck in your comfort zone. You've got to step out of it. And yes, that's going to be uncomfortable at first. But let me tell you this, that discomfort will lead you to places you can't even imagine yet. When you leave your comfort zone, you open up a whole new world of possibilities. You'll discover things about yourself you didn't even know existed. You'll push your limits. You'll grow. And that growth is the key to everything you want to achieve. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. But it's the only way forward. I'm not telling you to throw away everything you've worked for or to abandon your sense of stability. I'm asking you to stop letting comfort be the thing that holds you back from what you're truly capable of. You don't have to make a huge change all at once, but start recognizing when you're settling for comfort. Start recognizing when you're avoiding something because it feels too difficult, too risky, or too unfamiliar. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Start small. Push yourself to do one thing today that challenges you. Take on a new task at work. Speak up when you usually stay silent. Try something new, even if it's uncomfortable. Every time you step out of that comfort zone, you're training yourself for bigger challenges ahead. You're building the muscle that will help you overcome the obstacles that stand between you and your dreams. Let me give you a simple exercise. Tonight, before you go to bed, take a moment to think about your day. Did you do something that pushed you out of your comfort zone? Did you take a step toward your goals, even if it was a small one? Or did you let comfort take the lead and avoid that next big challenge? Look, I get it. Change is hard. Stepping out of your comfort zone isn't easy. But I promise you, every time you push yourself, it gets easier. And the rewards are worth it. When you stop living in comfort, you start living in possibility. You start to see new opportunities everywhere. You start to believe in what you're capable of. So if you want a better life, if you want to do more, be more, and have more, it's time to leave comfort behind. You can do this. You are capable. You are strong. But you won't reach your full potential as long as you stay comfortable. You've got to get uncomfortable to grow. And once you start, there's no turning back. Today, right now, make the decision to leave comfort behind. Step out, take that risk, and move toward your dreams. The only thing standing between you and everything you want is the decision to get uncomfortable. Feel the fear, but don't let it stop you. You've probably heard people say it, feel the fear and do it anyway. But what does that really mean? And why does fear always seem to show up when you're about to do something important or challenging? It's because fear is part of the process. Fear is natural. It's normal. Every single person, no matter how successful they are, has felt fear. It doesn't matter if they're giving a speech in front of thousands, making a life-changing decision, or stepping into a new opportunity. Fear shows up. But here's the difference. Successful people don't let fear control them. They don't let it stop them from moving forward. They feel it, acknowledge it, and keep going. And that's the key. You can't let fear paralyze you. You can't let it keep you from taking that first step towards something greater. You have to move through it. And when you do, you start to realize something powerful. Fear is just a feeling. It's not a roadblock. When you're about to take a risk or make a big change in your life, fear is going to show up. It might be fear of failure, fear of what others will think, fear of the unknown. But let me tell you something. Every successful person you admire, every leader you look up to, has felt that same fear. The only difference between them and the people who never get anywhere is what they do with that fear. Fear doesn't go away. It's not something you can just eliminate from your life. But what you can do is learn how to manage it. You can learn how to walk right alongside it, knowing that fear is there, but it doesn't have to hold you back. It doesn't have to stop you from taking action. Think about a time when you've been afraid to do something. Maybe it was starting a new job, moving to a new city, or asking for something you really wanted. What was going through your mind in those moments? You probably had a million thoughts telling you to turn back. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if it doesn't work out? Those thoughts are normal. They're part of the fear process. But the question is, did you let those thoughts stop you? Most people who succeed in life don't have less fear than you. They just don't give in to it. They push through it. They say, yes, I'm scared. Yes, I'm uncertain. But I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to try. And that's what makes the difference. So if you're feeling fear right now, if there's something you know you need to do, but you're hesitating, I want you to remember this. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is just a sign that you're on the right path. When you're about to step out of your comfort zone and do something new, fear is simply a sign that growth is happening. It's a sign that you're challenging yourself, that you're doing something that's pushing you to become better, stronger, more capable. Don't try to get rid of the fear. Instead, make peace with it. Acknowledge it. Feel it. Let it wash over you. And then do what you need to do anyway. Don't let it control your actions. You are in control of your destiny. And the best way to take control is to feel the fear, but not let it stop you. There's something else you need to know about fear. It's often worse in your mind than it is in reality. When you start thinking about something you're afraid of, your mind can make it feel like the worst thing possible is going to happen. You start imagining all the ways it could go wrong, all the ways you could fail. But here's the thing. Most of the time, what we're afraid of never happens. We build these huge, exaggerated scenarios in our heads, but the reality is often far less scary. Let me give you an example. Think back to a time when you were nervous about something. Maybe you were about to give a presentation or make a big decision. You probably spent hours, days, maybe even weeks worrying about it. But when it came time to do it, did it go as badly as you feared? Probably not. In fact, it was likely much easier than you imagined. That's because fear often exaggerates the situation. It makes you believe the worst, but in reality, things tend to work out better than you expect. And if things don't work out perfectly, that's okay too. The most important thing is that you tried. You pushed through the fear. You took the risk. You put yourself out there. And that's how you grow. That's how you learn. I want you to remember something. Nothing great ever happens without fear. If you're waiting for the day when you feel completely confident and fearless, you're going to be waiting a long time. The truth is, confidence comes from action. It comes from doing the thing you're afraid of and seeing that you can handle it. Confidence is built one small step at a time. If you want to live a life that's bigger than what you have right now, if you want to accomplish things that matter, you have to get used to feeling fear. You have to make peace with it. Don't avoid it. Don't pretend it's not there. Acknowledge it, then move forward anyway. You'll be amazed at how much stronger you become when you face your fears. You'll start to see that fear isn't a roadblock. It's just a bump in the road, a sign that you're on the path to growth. And the more you take action in the face of fear, the more you realize that it doesn't control you. You control it. So what are you afraid of? What's holding you back from taking that next step? I want you to remember this. You are stronger than your fear. You are more capable than you think. And you are ready to move past the fear and into the life you deserve. Feel the fear, but don't let it stop you. Keep going, one step at a time, and you'll get to where you want to be. Commit to change. No excuses. I want you to think about something for a moment. When you really commit to something, what does that mean to you? When you decide that something is important enough to you, you stop making excuses. You stop saying, I'll get to it tomorrow, or it's too hard right now, or maybe I'm not good enough for this. All those excuses, they're just ways to avoid change. They're ways to keep you in that safe zone, in that comfortable place where nothing challenges you. But nothing changes in that comfort zone. Nothing gets better. Nothing improves. And certainly, nothing grows. If you want to see real change in your life, if you want to move beyond where you are right now, you need to make a commitment. You need to commit to changing. And you need to do it without any excuses. This is where the real work happens. This is where everything shifts. Let's face it, change isn't easy. It requires you to step out of the life you know and into something unfamiliar. That's why so many people shy away from it. That's why so many people stay stuck. And so many people never reach their potential. They don't commit. They don't make the decision that says, I'm going to change, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. Now, I'm not talking about a temporary commitment. I'm not talking about saying, I'll give this a try for a week, and if things don't work out, I'll just go back to my old ways. No, I'm talking about a deep, unwavering commitment. A commitment that comes from within. A commitment where you decide once and for all that you're going to do what it takes to make your life what you want it to be. A commitment where you refuse to let excuses hold you back. Let's think about this for a second. How many times have you told yourself you'd change something, but then backed out because it felt too hard? Or how many times have you put off something because you didn't feel ready? You didn't have enough time, enough money, enough energy. We've all been there. But here's the truth. All those reasons are just excuses. Excuses that sound good, but in the end, they're just ways to stay in your comfort zone. They're ways to avoid the hard work, the discomfort, the struggle that comes with real change. The thing about change is that it doesn't happen unless you decide it's going to happen. Change is something you have to commit to. You have to choose it, and that choice is not always easy. But the moment you decide that you're going to make it happen, that's when things begin to move. That's when the momentum starts. Because commitment is the spark that ignites everything else. When you commit to change, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work? Or what if I fail? Instead, you start asking, what if it does work? What if I succeed? And that shift, that simple change in perspective, can make all the difference. So why is commitment so important? It's because commitment is the foundation for everything else. When you commit to something, you make it non-negotiable. You make it a priority. And when something becomes a priority, you make time for it. You put in the effort. You don't wait for the perfect moment because you know that perfection doesn't exist. You don't wait until the stars align. You just do it. You make a plan and you stick to it. This is the difference between successful people and those who are stuck. Successful people make a decision. They commit. They stop making excuses. And they make it happen. They don't wait for the perfect conditions. They don't wait for the right time. They know that the right time is now. They know that the only way to change is to commit fully to the process, no matter how tough it gets. Now I get it. Change is hard. It's uncomfortable. You might feel like you're not ready, but here's something I want you to understand. You will never feel 100% ready for anything. You will never feel like you have all the answers, all the resources, all the time. That's just how life works. So if you wait for that perfect moment to start, you'll be waiting forever. If you're waiting for the perfect time to commit to something, you're going to miss out on opportunities. You're going to miss out on the growth that happens when you take that first step. So stop waiting. Commit now. Commit to making the changes you need to make to improve your life, to get closer to your goals. No more excuses. No more telling yourself that you'll start tomorrow, next week, or next month. Today is the day. Today is the day you commit. And when you commit, it doesn't mean that everything will be easy. It doesn't mean that the road ahead will be smooth. In fact, it's going to be tough. It's going to test you in ways you didn't expect. But that's part of the journey. That's where the growth happens. When you commit to change, you're committing to the work, the challenge, and yes, the struggle. But you're also committing to the rewards, the success, the growth, the fulfillment that come from pushing through the tough times. You might encounter obstacles along the way. You might face setbacks. You might stumble. But remember this, setbacks are just setups for comebacks. Every obstacle you face is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. And when you've truly committed to change, you keep going. No matter what, you don't quit when it gets hard. You don't back down when things get tough. You push through because you know that on the other side of that struggle, is a better version of yourself. So what are you committing to today? What's the change you know you need to make in your life? I want you to stop making excuses. I want you to make the decision right now that you're going to commit to your growth. I want you to decide that you're going to stop waiting for the perfect moment, and you're going to start making progress today. This is your time. This is your moment. Commit to it, and no excuses. The road ahead might be difficult, but I promise you, it will be worth it. And if you commit to it fully, there's nothing you can't achieve. So make that commitment. Decide to change and then take the first step. No more excuses. It's time to make it happen. Dream big enough to scare you. I'm glad you're with me on this journey of pushing past limits and breaking free from those comfort zones. Now let's talk about something that can feel both exciting and a little scary, but it's essential if you're going to move forward. Dreaming big enough to scare you. You see, most people go through life with what I like to call safe dreams. They dream of things that feel comfortable, that feel achievable, but they don't stretch themselves far enough. They set goals that they feel like they can handle, that they feel like they can manage without too much risk. And here's the problem with that. When you only dream as big as you think you can handle, you limit yourself to what you already know, to what's already in your comfort zone. And that, my friends, is where growth stops. It's where possibility ends. But the moment you dare to dream bigger than that, the moment you stretch beyond your comfort zone and allow yourself to envision something that excites you and terrifies you at the same time, that's when things change. When you think about that goal or that dream, and it sends a shiver of fear down your spine because you have no idea how you're going to pull it off, that's when you know you're on the right track. I'm not talking about setting goals that feel easy. I'm not talking about the kind of goals where you wake up and think, yeah, I can do that without even trying. No, I'm talking about those goals that make you pause, that make your heart race a little, and make you feel like you're standing at the edge of something huge, something bigger than yourself. Those are the dreams that will push you to new heights. Those are the goals that will force you to grow in ways you never expected. Think about the times in your life when you've really achieved something. Was it when you set a goal that felt too easy? Or was it when you set a goal that pushed you out of your comfort zone, made you work harder, think differently, and maybe even fail a few times along the way? The things that you've accomplished that matter the most weren't easy. They weren't just handed to you. They were the result of you daring to dream big, stepping out of your comfort zone, and giving it everything you had, even when the path forward wasn't clear. Now I know this can feel intimidating, and that's okay. Feeling a little scared means that you're about to grow. It means that you're on the verge of something important. But fear is natural, and it's part of the process. If you're not scared at least a little bit, then you're probably not dreaming big enough. When you're facing something that challenges you, that pushes you to be more than what you are right now, that's when you're starting to tap into your real potential. Because here's the truth, you're capable of far more than you think you are. The dreams that feel impossible right now, they're only impossible because you haven't started taking steps toward them yet. But the moment you decide to take action, the moment you commit to going after something big, is the moment things begin to shift. What would happen if you let go of the safe dreams and started to allow yourself to dream bigger, to dream in a way that excites you? What if you allowed yourself to think about all the possibilities out there, even the ones that seem out of reach right now? When you stretch your vision beyond your current circumstances, you open up a world of opportunities. You start to see things in a new way. You begin to notice doors that you didn't even know existed. And even though it might feel uncomfortable, even though it might feel like you're asking too much of yourself, the truth is, this is where your potential lies. This is where your future self begins to form. But here's the thing. Dreaming big is just the first part. It's not enough to just wish for bigger things. You have to put in the work. You have to back up those big dreams with actions that move you closer to them every single day. It's not enough to just say, I want to build a business, or I want to travel the world, or I want to change my life. Those are just words. You need to put action behind those words. You need to show up every day and take steps that bring you closer to what you want. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take persistence. But if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to show up even when things get tough, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit with your dreams for a moment. I want you to ask yourself, am I dreaming big enough? Are you playing it too safe? Are you sticking with goals that you know you can hit, but that don't really excite you? If you are, it's time to change that. It's time to start thinking bigger. Start thinking about what you could achieve if you pushed yourself beyond what you think is possible. Start imagining the life you could create if you were willing to dream in a way that excites you, that stretches you, that challenges you to become the best version of yourself. And then once you've got that big dream, once you've allowed yourself to truly think about what you could do, it's time to take action. No more waiting for the right time. No more holding back because you're afraid. Step into that fear. Lean into it. Know that it's a sign you're on the right path. Because the truth is, you'll never feel 100% ready. You'll never have all the answers. But if you don't start now, if you don't begin taking steps toward that big dream, you'll stay exactly where you are. So my challenge for you is simple. Dream bigger. Dream in a way that scares you. Dream in a way that excites you. And then take action. Because dreams are nothing without the work behind them. But if you're willing to dream big and commit to taking action, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Don't hold back. Don't play small. Dream big and then go out and make it happen. Take action. Even the smallest step counts. When it comes to turning your dreams into reality, there's one thing you absolutely cannot avoid: taking action. I'm talking about getting up and doing something about it, even when it feels like it's not perfect, even when you feel like you're not ready, and especially when that little voice inside your head is telling you it's too soon, too hard, or too risky. We all know that dreams don't come true by just sitting around thinking about them. No matter how big your vision is, it's not going to happen unless you take that first step. It's so easy to get caught in the trap of planning and thinking, but action is the key to moving forward. Without it, you'll stay stuck in the same place. No matter how bright or bold your dreams are, it doesn't matter how small that step is. What matters is that you start moving. A lot of people get caught up in trying to take the perfect action or waiting for the right moment. But the truth is, there's never a perfect moment. There's no right time to start. The perfect time is when you decide to start, no matter how imperfect or uncertain things might seem. The smallest action can lead to momentum that builds into something much bigger over time. A step forward, no matter how small, is still progress. Look, I get it. Taking action can be scary. It's intimidating to move out of that safe space and into the unknown, where things aren't so clear. But that's exactly where the magic happens. That's where you start to grow. That's where you'll learn and discover new things about yourself that you never knew existed. The more you take action, the more you'll start to build confidence in yourself and your abilities. You'll begin to realize that you don't have to have everything figured out at the start. You don't have to know every detail. You just need to start. You need to take that first step, and then the next one, and the next one after that. It's important to recognize that action isn't about perfection. It's about progress. The first step you take may not be the most graceful or the most polished, and that's okay. What matters is that you're learning, you're growing, and you're making progress, no matter how small it may seem. In fact, the more you take action, the more you'll see that progress leads to confidence, which leads to more action, which leads to even greater progress. Don't wait for everything to align before you move forward. Don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect knowledge. You already have everything you need to start right now. The key is to be willing to act and to do so with faith that your actions, no matter how small, will bring you closer to your goal. The truth is, it's through action that you start figuring things out. It's through action that you learn and adapt. You don't have to know everything right away, but by moving forward, you start to make things clearer for yourself. Each action you take gives you new information that will help you shape your next move. And even when things don't go as planned, when the actions you take don't yield the immediate results you hoped for, that's still valuable. because every experience is a lesson. Failure isn't something to fear or avoid. Failure is just a stepping stone on the road to success. It's not the end of the road. It's a signpost telling you that you're learning, that you're adjusting, and that you're moving forward. The most successful people didn't get there by sitting on the sidelines or waiting for perfection. They got there by taking consistent, imperfect actions toward their dreams. They got there by pushing through the setbacks, the obstacles, and the failures. They kept moving. It's important to understand that action is not just about big, grand moves. It's about consistency. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing something each day that brings you closer to your goal, whether it's big or small. Some days your action may be huge, and other days it may be smaller, but it's the consistency of action that gets you closer to success. It's about being disciplined enough to keep showing up, even when it's tough, and even when you don't see immediate results. Taking action also means being okay with taking risks. Because if you're only taking actions that feel safe, you're not stretching yourself enough. If you're only doing what you already know how to do, you're not growing. But the moment you step out of your comfort zone and try something new, try something that feels a little bit risky, that's when the real progress happens. Taking risks doesn't mean throwing caution to the wind without thought, but it does mean being willing to step into the unknown, to take chances, and to trust that you'll learn from whatever comes next. One of the most powerful things about action is that it gives you clarity. Often when we're stuck in our heads, we overthink and overanalyze every decision. But when you take action, even if it's just a small step, it helps you see the next move. It helps you figure out what works, what doesn't work, and what you need to adjust. When you're standing still, it's hard to see the path ahead. But when you start moving, the path starts to reveal itself. And let's not forget about the importance of momentum. Action creates momentum. Once you start, it's easier to keep going. The first step is always the hardest. But once you get moving, it's easier to maintain that forward motion. Even when you face setbacks or challenges, the momentum you've built makes it easier to keep going. You've created a habit of moving forward, and that's what leads to success. I want you to remember this. You can't wait for the perfect moment to start, because it's never going to come. But the moment you take action, everything starts to change. You begin to move toward your goals, and you begin to see just how much you're capable of. You're stronger than you think, and your ability to take action is one of the most powerful tools you have. So today, make the commitment to start. Take that first step, no matter how small, and keep moving forward. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about having all the answers. Just take action. Because action is the key to creating the life you want. And the more you take, the closer you'll get to your dreams. Embrace discomfort. That steps where growth lives. You'll hear it a lot. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. But let me ask you this. How many of you have ever actually experienced it for yourself? You see, we talk about comfort zones as if they're some sort of mystical space. But the truth is, they're just habits, routines, and mental boundaries we've created over time. We get used to them, and that's the problem. We get comfortable, we settle, and when we settle, we stop growing, we stop learning, we stop evolving. Now, I know that stepping out of your comfort zone sounds easier said than done. We all know the feeling of safety, of being in familiar territory. It's like your favorite chair, cozy, comfortable, and predictable. But the problem with comfort is that it's a trap. It's not a place of progress. It's a place of stagnation. Sure, it feels good for a while, but eventually you start to feel like something's missing. You get that itch, that feeling that there's more to life than what you're experiencing. You start to dream bigger, but then fear kicks in. Fear of failure, fear of change, fear of the unknown. I get it. We all feel that. But the question is, are you going to let fear control your life, or are you going to embrace it as part of the process? Fear isn't something you can eliminate. It's part of being human. But here's the thing. The more you step outside of your comfort zone, the less power that fear has over you. Every time you take action despite the fear, you're strengthening your courage. You're training your mind to understand that fear is just a feeling, and feelings are temporary. Let me tell you something important. Discomfort is where growth lives. It's where you discover what you're truly capable of. Every time you push past the fear, you unlock new strengths and abilities within yourself. And I'm not talking about huge, earth-shattering changes. I'm talking about small, consistent steps that challenge you to do things you've never done before. Things that stretch you, that make you feel nervous or unsure, but in that uncertainty, you start to grow. Think about a time in your life when you were faced with something difficult, something that made you nervous, something that made you doubt yourself. Maybe it was a big presentation at work, or maybe it was a difficult conversation you needed to have. In those moments, it was uncomfortable, right? You probably wanted to avoid it. You probably thought about backing out. But what happened when you pushed through? You learned something about yourself. You gained confidence. You saw that you could handle more than you thought. And that feeling of being able to face the challenge can't be replicated by sitting back and staying comfortable. Now here's where I want you to really pay attention. Growth doesn't happen without discomfort. It just doesn't. So many people think that growth should be easy. They think that if they just keep doing what they've always done, they'll eventually get to the next level. But that's not how it works. It's about stepping outside of what you know, into the unknown, and being okay with that. It's about saying, I'm willing to feel uncomfortable because I know that's where my progress lies. The discomfort comes in many forms. It might be a difficult conversation you need to have with someone. It might be the feeling of putting yourself out there and trying something new. It could be as simple as learning a new skill or taking on a new responsibility. But it all requires you to let go of the safety net and take a risk. It means facing the unknown and trusting that even if things don't go as planned, you'll still learn something valuable from the experience. And let me be clear about something. Discomfort doesn't mean failure. Just because something feels uncomfortable doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Discomfort is part of the process. It's a sign that you're stretching beyond what you've known and into something bigger. Every time you challenge yourself to do something that scares you or makes you feel uncertain, you're making progress. You're evolving. You're getting closer to the person you're meant to become. This is why it's so important to embrace discomfort. If you want to grow, you've got to stop looking for the easy way out. You've got to stop waiting for the perfect moment to act. There's never going to be a perfect moment. The best time to start is now, even if it feels uncomfortable. Even if it feels like you don't have everything figured out. It's in those moments of discomfort that you find out what you're truly capable of. I want you to think about this. The person you are today is not the person you'll be a year from now, unless you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone. The growth you desire is waiting for you on the other side of fear. It's waiting for you just beyond that line where your comfort zone ends. But you've got to take that step. You've got to be willing to feel that discomfort. You've got to trust that it's not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're moving towards something greater. So I'm going to ask you a question. What's one thing you've been avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? Maybe it's starting that new project. Maybe it's having a conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's stepping up in your career or pursuing that big dream you've always had. Whatever it is, I want you to commit to doing it. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Start small if you need to, but take that step. Embrace the discomfort. Trust that this is where the magic happens. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know exactly how it will turn out. But if you can make the decision to step outside your comfort zone and take that first action, you're already on the path to growth. Remember, growth doesn't happen in the safe zone. It doesn't happen when you're coasting. It happens when you're pushing yourself, stretching your limits, and saying, I'm willing to be uncomfortable, because I know that's where I'll grow. So step out, take that first step, and embrace the discomfort, because that's where your true potential lies. Learn from every challenge and keep going. You know, life has a way of throwing challenges at us. And when you step outside your comfort zone, those challenges can feel even bigger. But here's the thing. Every challenge, no matter how hard or uncomfortable it seems, is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. The question is, are you willing to see it that way? Are you willing to embrace those challenges instead of running from them? Let's talk about why this matters so much. When you face a challenge, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. It's easy to think, why me? Why now? But those questions don't serve you. They keep you stuck. What you need to ask yourself instead is, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? Because every challenge, no matter how tough, carries a lesson. It's like life's way of saying, hey, you're ready for the next level. Let's see what you're made of. Now, I know it's not always easy to see the lesson in the moment. When you're in the middle of a tough situation, it can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But here's the truth. You're stronger than you think. You've handled challenges before, and you've come out on the other side. Maybe you didn't realize it at the time, but every time you faced something hard and pushed through, you grew. You became wiser. You became more resilient. And that's the beauty of it. Growth doesn't always announce itself in the moment, but it's happening. Think back to a time when you faced a challenge that felt impossible. Maybe it was a difficult project at work, a personal setback, or a situation where you had to step up and take responsibility. At the time, it might have felt like too much to handle, but you did it. You figured it out. And now looking back, you can see how much you grew because of it. That's what challenges do. They shape us. They mold us into the person we're meant to become. But here's the key. You've got to keep going. You've got to face those challenges head on and not let them defeat you. It's easy to feel like giving up when things get tough. It's easy to say this is too hard and retreat back into your comfort zone. But what does that accomplish? Nothing. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you from reaching your potential. When you face a challenge, don't see it as a roadblock. See it as a stepping stone. See it as an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become better. It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about embracing them. Because every challenge you overcome builds your confidence. It shows you what you're capable of. And the more challenges you face, the more resilient you become. Now let's talk about resilience for a moment. Resilience isn't about never feeling fear or doubt. It's not about being invincible. Resilience is about getting back up when you get knocked down. It's about saying, I'm not going to let this stop me. It's about having the strength to keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. You build resilience by facing challenges, not by avoiding them. Every time you overcome something difficult, you're proving to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. You're building a foundation of strength that will carry you through future challenges. And let me tell you, that kind of strength is priceless. It's what allows you to dream bigger, to take risks, and to live fearlessly. But here's the thing. Resilience doesn't come automatically. It's something you have to cultivate. You have to make a conscious decision to face your challenges with courage and determination. You have to remind yourself that every challenge is temporary and that you have the power to overcome it. It's about mindset. It's about choosing to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. And don't be afraid to fail. Failure is a part of growth. If you're not failing from time to time, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Failure isn't the end. It's a step on the path to success. It's a chance to learn, to adjust, and to come back stronger. So don't let the fear of failure hold you back. Embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Surrounding yourself with the right people is also important. When you're facing a challenge, the people around you can either lift you up or hold you back. Choose to be around those who encourage you, who believe in you, and who push you to be your best. Those are the people who will help you through the tough times and celebrate with you when you succeed. They'll remind you of your potential when you start to doubt yourself. And that kind of support can make all the difference. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's not about handling every challenge flawlessly. It's about progress. It's about showing up every day and giving it your best, even when it's hard. It's about taking things one step at a time and trusting that you're on the right path. because you are. Every challenge you face is a step toward becoming the person you're meant to be. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, don't shy away from it. Don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Step into it with courage and determination. Remind yourself that you've overcome challenges before, and you can do it again. Embrace the discomfort, because that's where growth happens. And trust that no matter how tough it feels in the moment, you're becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient with every step. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. When it comes to making meaningful progress in life, the people you surround yourself with make all the difference. I don't think most people realize how powerful this really is. Who you allow into your inner circle has a way of shaping your beliefs, your habits, your confidence, even your vision for what's possible. It's one of the most important choices you'll ever make, because the influence of others is real and it's constant. The question is, are you surrounded by people who lift you up, or are you surrounded by people who weigh you down? Let's get something straight right away. You cannot afford to spend the majority of your time with people who don't believe in you, who drain your energy, or who make you doubt your potential. You just can't. Life is challenging enough on its own. You're going to face setbacks, fears, and moments of doubt. Those are inevitable. The last thing you need is someone feeding those doubts or making you feel like you're not capable. Instead, you need people in your corner who remind you of your strengths, who encourage you to keep going, and who push you to aim higher. Have you ever noticed how much of an impact just one conversation can have? A 5-minute talk with someone can either leave you inspired and ready to take on the world, or it can leave you feeling drained and defeated. That's the power of influence. When you're around the right people, they energize you. They make you think bigger. They remind you that your dreams are worth pursuing and that you have what it takes to achieve them. But when you're around the wrong people, it's like having a weight tied to your ankles. No matter how hard you try to move forward, something is always pulling you back. Now, I'm not saying you have to cut everyone out of your life who doesn't fully understand your vision. That's not always realistic, and sometimes it's not even necessary. But what you can do is be intentional about where you spend your energy and who gets the most of your time. You can choose to spend more time with people who align with your goals and less time with those who don't. It's about creating an environment that supports your growth and your dreams. The right people will challenge you in the best way possible. They won't let you settle for mediocrity. They'll push you out of your comfort zone and encourage you to take risks. These are the people who will celebrate your wins with genuine joy, but they'll also hold you accountable when you're falling short of your potential. They'll remind you of the bigger picture when you get lost in the details, and they'll encourage you to keep going when the journey gets tough. I want you to take a moment and think about the people you spend the most time with. Are they lifting you up, or are they holding you back? Do they encourage you to dream bigger, or do they make you second-guess yourself? Do they inspire you to take action, or do they keep you stuck in place? These are tough questions to ask, but they're necessary. Because if the people around you aren't helping you grow, they're holding you back. And that's not a situation you can afford to stay in. Sometimes making a change in who you spend your time with can feel uncomfortable. It might mean spending less time with people you've known for years, or it might mean seeking out new connections that align more closely with your goals. But remember, growth and comfort don't go hand in hand. If you want to grow, you have to be willing to make choices that support that growth, even if those choices aren't easy. The good news is, you don't have to go through this process alone. There are people out there who are on the same path as you. There are people who have faced the same challenges and come out stronger on the other side. And there are people who genuinely want to see you succeed. Sometimes all it takes is putting yourself out there, joining a group, attending an event, or even reaching out to someone you admire. Building a network of people who inspire and uplift you is one of the best investments you can make in yourself. And let me tell you something else. When you surround yourself with the right people, something incredible happens. You start to believe in yourself more. You start to see possibilities where you once saw limitations. You You start to dream bigger because you're around people who remind you that it's okay to aim high. That kind of environment is transformative. It's the kind of environment that helps you grow into the person you're meant to be. You also have a role to play in this process. It's not just about finding people who will support and uplift you. It's about being that kind of person for others too. Be the kind of friend, colleague, or mentor who inspires and encourages. Be the kind of person who celebrates others' successes and offers a helping hand when they're struggling. The more you lift others up, the more you'll find that energy coming back to you. It's a cycle, and it's one of the most powerful things you can be a part of. So here's my challenge to you. Take a good, honest look at your circle. Identify the people who lift you up and make an effort to spend more time with them. At the same time, identify the relationships that are draining your energy or holding you back, and start setting boundaries. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It's simply about prioritizing your growth and your goals. And if you feel like you don't have enough of the right people in your life right now, don't let that discourage you. Start seeking out those connections. They're out there waiting for you to find them. Remember, you don't have to go through life alone. The right people will make the journey not only more rewarding, but also more enjoyable. They'll remind you of your potential when you start to doubt yourself, and they'll celebrate with you when you reach new heights. So choose your circle wisely. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who challenge you to be better, and who inspire you to dream bigger. Because when you're surrounded by the right people, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Take risks, fail, learn, and try again. Taking risks is one of those things that most people shy away from, and I get it. It's scary. The fear of failing, the fear of looking foolish, the fear of losing something you've worked hard for. All of that can feel overwhelming. But here's the truth. You need to hear, if you're not willing to take risks, you'll never grow into the person you're capable of becoming. Growth demands risk. Success demands risk. Living a life that's truly meaningful demands risk. It's just part of the equation. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something that truly scared you? I'm not talking about a minor inconvenience or a little challenge. I mean something that made your heart race. Something that made you question whether you could actually pull it off. Most people can't even remember the last time they stepped into that space. And that's a problem. Because without risk, there's no reward. Without stepping into the unknown, you'll never find out what you're truly capable of. Risk forces you to confront your fears, your doubts, and all the stories you've been telling yourself about what's possible for you. It pushes you to go beyond what's comfortable, to go beyond what's safe. And yes, sometimes you'll fail. That's part of it. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone to it. Every failure carries a lesson. Every stumble teaches you something you didn't know before. Every setback prepares you for the next step forward. The problem is most people let the fear of failure stop them before they even start. They get so caught up in imagining the worst-case scenario that they never take the first step. But let me tell you something. The worst-case scenario you're imagining is almost never as bad as you think. In fact, most of the time, the real danger isn't in taking the risk. It's in not taking it. Because when you stay in your comfort zone, you don't just stay the same. You start to shrink. Your confidence shrinks. Your dreams shrink. Your potential shrinks. When you take a risk, something amazing happens. Even if you don't get the result you wanted, you grow. You gain experience. You learn what works and what doesn't. You build resilience. And most importantly, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. That's what risk does. It expands you. It forces you to rise to the occasion. It shows you just how strong and resourceful you really are. And here's another thing about risk. It's the only way to discover new opportunities. Think about it. Every major breakthrough, every life-changing opportunity, every big win, it all starts with a risk. It starts with someone saying, I'm going to try this even though I don't know how it's going to turn out. You can't wait for opportunities to fall into your lap. You have to create them. And that means taking risks. But let's be clear, taking risks doesn't mean being reckless. It doesn't mean jumping into something without thinking it through. Smart risks are calculated risks. They're risks you take after doing your homework, after weighing the pros and cons, after preparing as much as you can. But at some point, you have to stop planning and start doing. You have to take the leap, because no amount of preparation will ever eliminate all the uncertainty. There's always going to be an element of the unknown. That's just how life works. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's scary, but discomfort is where growth happens. Fear is where breakthroughs happen. If you're not willing to feel uncomfortable, you'll never achieve anything truly meaningful. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by playing it safe. They got there because they were willing to take risks. They were willing to fail. They were willing to look foolish. They were willing to try, even when there were no guarantees. And let me tell you something else. The more risks you take, the easier it gets, because you start to build a track record. You start to see that failure isn't the end of the world. You start to realize that you're stronger and more capable than you thought. And that gives you the confidence to take even bigger risks. It's a cycle. The more you step out of your comfort zone, the more your comfort zone expands. I want you to think about the risks you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting that business you've been dreaming about. Maybe it's having a tough conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's going back to school, or moving to a new city, or pursuing a passion you've been neglecting. Whatever it is, ask yourself this: what's the worst that could happen? And then ask yourself this: what's the best that could happen? Too often we focus so much on the potential downside that we forget to think about the potential upside. But the upside is where your dreams live. The upside is where your future lives. If you want to live a life that's truly fulfilling, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to fail, to stumble, to make mistakes, because that's where the growth is. That's where the opportunities are. And that's where you'll find the person you're meant to become. So don't let fear hold you back. Don't let the fear of failing stop you from trying. Take the risk. Dare to step into the unknown, because even if you fall, you'll be falling forward. Even if you fail, you'll be one step closer to success. And even if it doesn't work out the way you planned, you'll have gained something far more valuable: the knowledge, the experience, and the growth that only comes from taking a chance. Remember, the biggest risk you can take is not taking any risks at all. Playing it safe might feel comfortable in the moment, but in the long run, it's a recipe for regret. Don't let that be your story. Take the risk. Believe in yourself and go after the life you deserve, because you're capable of more than you think. And the only way to find out just how much is to take that first step. So take it. Take the risk, and don't look back. Celebrate the small wins, but keep moving forward. Celebrating small wins might seem like a minor thing, but let me tell you, it's one of the most powerful habits you can build. Life is not just about the big milestones. It's about those small, seemingly insignificant moments of progress that stack up over time. If you overlook those, you're missing a huge part of what drives momentum. The big wins, those life-changing achievements we all dream of, don't come out of nowhere. They're built step by step on a foundation of small victories. Think about it like this: when you're working toward a big goal, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The finish line seems so far away that it's tempting to think, what's the point? I'll never get there. But when you pause to acknowledge even the smallest bit of progress, you shift your focus. You remind yourself that you are moving forward, even if it's 1 inch at a time. That sense of progress is fuel. It keeps you motivated, keeps you engaged, and most importantly, it keeps you going. Let's say you've decided to start a new fitness routine. Maybe your ultimate goal is to lose 50 pounds or run a marathon. That's a big, inspiring goal, but it can also feel daunting, right? Now imagine you celebrate the fact that you went to the gym 3 times this week, when last week you didn't go at all. That's a small win, but it's significant. It's proof that you're showing up, that you're committed, and that you're building the habits that will lead to the bigger goal. The truth is, celebrating those small wins builds confidence. It reinforces the idea that you're capable of sticking to your commitments. It creates a positive feedback loop in your mind. You see, when you acknowledge your progress, you're essentially telling yourself, I'm on the right track. And that belief is powerful. It's the kind of belief that turns effort into momentum and momentum into results. Now I get it. Sometimes we're so focused on the end goal that we forget to pause and appreciate how far we've come. But here's the thing, if you're always chasing the next big thing, if you're constantly saying, I'll celebrate when I get there, you're missing out on the journey. And the journey matters just as much, if not more, than the destination. Because the journey is where you grow. The journey is where you learn who you are and what you're capable of. There's a real joy that comes from recognizing the small victories along the way. It might be as simple as learning a new skill, completing a task you've been procrastinating on, or having the courage to try something outside your comfort zone. Each of those moments is worth celebrating because they represent progress. They represent growth. But let me make something clear. Celebrating small wins doesn't mean you settle for less. It doesn't mean you stop pushing yourself or aiming higher. It's not about getting complacent. It's about staying energized for the journey. It's about saying, I see the progress I'm making, and I'm proud of it, but I'm not stopping here. There's more to achieve, and I'm ready for it. Think about how a marathon runner approaches the race. They don't just focus on the finish line 26 miles away. They focus on the next mile marker, the next step, the next breath. Each small milestone along the way is a reminder that they're getting closer to their goal. And when they cross the finish line, it's not just the end result that matters. It's every step they took to get there. That's how you need to approach your own journey. Whether you're building a business, working on a relationship, pursuing a career goal, or improving yourself in some way, you need to take time to acknowledge the steps you're taking. Maybe you made one more phone call today than you did yesterday. Maybe you spent an extra 15 minutes practicing a skill. Maybe you resisted the urge to give up when things got hard. Those are all wins, and they're all worth celebrating. And celebrating doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't need fireworks or a grand gesture. Sometimes it's as simple as giving yourself a pat on the back, treating yourself to something you enjoy, or sharing your progress with someone who supports you. The act of celebration is less about the reward and more about the recognition. It's about saying, I'm proud of myself for showing up, for trying, and for making progress. But here's where it gets even more powerful. When you celebrate your small wins, you inspire others to do the same. People around you start to notice your energy, your positivity, your resilience, and that creates a ripple effect. When you celebrate progress, you're not just uplifting yourself, you're uplifting everyone who's watching. At the same time, celebrating small wins helps you stay grounded. It reminds you to be grateful for the present moment, to appreciate the journey you're on, and to recognize the effort you're putting in. Gratitude and recognition are like a secret weapon for staying motivated. They shift your focus from what's lacking to what's already working. And when you operate from that mindset, you approach your goals with a sense of possibility instead of pressure. Now I want you to think about where you are right now. Think about the progress you've made, no matter how small it might seem. Maybe you've taken the first step toward a goal you've been putting off. Maybe you've shown more discipline, more effort, or more courage than you did yesterday. Whatever it is, take a moment to acknowledge it. Celebrate it. Because every step forward is a step in the right direction. The big achievements will come. They always do when you stay consistent. But don't wait until you've climbed the mountain to appreciate the journey. Take time to celebrate the small wins along the way. They're not just stepping stones, they're the foundation of your success. And when you celebrate those wins, you're not just building confidence. You're building a life that's rich with purpose, progress, and joy. So keep moving forward. Keep celebrating every step you take. Because every small win brings you closer to the life you're striving for. And every small win reminds you of the incredible strength, determination, and potential you already have within you. You're on the right path. Just don't forget to celebrate it.